It is week number 1 of the high school football season, and tonight, the Bulldogs of Olmsted Falls made the trek out east to Titletown to take on your 2-time defending state champion Chardon Hilltoppers. How you doing, everyone? Matt Jaworski, Ryan Radke with you as we get you set for this one. It is the lid lifter of the 2022 season. And Ryan, the last time we saw the Hilltoppers, they were walking out of Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium down in Canton with some hardware in their possession, a second consecutive state championship title to their name, 3rd overall in school history. Tonight, a lot of new faces for the Hilltoppers, and they have quite an opponent to begin this season.
You know, they do. They've got the 2 straight trophies coming in, and the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs coming up as well. Very good program coming out from the west side of Cleveland. Great conference out there. They find their way into the playoffs every year. They got a lot of experience, a lot of seniors on this Bulldogs team. You know, they're coming up here to play tonight.
Folks, both of these teams love to run, so this one could be over from a time standpoint in a hurry. Nonetheless, it's going to be the Chardon defense leading the way this year as they have the bulk of returning starters on the D-line. Meanwhile, offensively, it's a young unit. They have 2 sophomores and a freshman starting on the offensive line, so we'll see how they gel as this season progresses.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be, you had some young guys that had to gel and learn as the season went a year ago, too, and that happened. It's kind of the story. This is how high school football goes every year, but you look down there, as long as you've got Alex Henry, a returning starter at quarterback, that will be a piece that could pull everything together there on that young offensive unit.
Absolutely. You add in the likes of A.J. Bruce, Daniel Pettyjohn, Faze back there. This offense has some weapons. They just need that O-line to open up some holes.
It's absolutely, and that's always the key for Chardon. You get good play for the offensive line, good things are going to happen.
Folks, we're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, pregame festivities will begin here on opening night from Chardon Memorial here on GTV.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Patai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. And by GTV.
The outstanding young athletes of Chardon Youth Football. In the A Division, the Gladiators, head coach Eric Ellis, and the Gladiator Cheerleaders. The Spartans, head coach Clayton Kovats, and the Spartan Cheerleaders. And the Hilltoppers, head coach Kelly Elig, and the Hilltopper Cheerleaders. In the B Division, the Hilltopper Red Team, head coach Corey Sorosi, and the Hilltopper Red Cheerleaders. The Hilltopper Black Team, head coach Mark Allen, and the Hilltopper Black Team Cheerleaders. And finally, in the C Division, the Chardon Hilltoppers team, head coach Ray Landis, the Chardon Bearcats team, and head coach Ronald Dross, and the Chardon Black Knights and head coach Chris Gaspar. Please join together for a round of applause for our Hilltopper youth football players. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing the 2022 Chardon Hilltopper Marching Band. The band is being led onto the field this evening by Junior Field Commander Evan Kuhl. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise, and gentlemen, remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem, and then please remain standing for the Chardon High School alma mater. All right, Topper fans, put your hands together and shout "Hey" as the band spells out CHS and plays the Hey song.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper varsity football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Patai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters, and by GTV.
And here come your two-time defending Division III state champion, Chardon Hilltoppers. Welcome back, everyone. GTV, Matt Jaworski, Ryan Radke with you as we get you set for what is expected to be a phenomenal game tonight. Two teams that love to run the football, a program that the state title runs through in your Chardon Hilltoppers, and a team in Olmsted Falls that realistically, outside of Avon, could be in that same category.
Yeah, that's absolutely impressive, man. Take a look at teams here as they take the field. Yeah, so sorry about that, man. When you take a look at these two teams, you're right, the programs are very similar. The offenses are going to look similar, and they're both really good programs. Olmsted Falls has a great history out there in that Southwest Conference. They are at the top of their conference. They're in the playoff race numerous times. Last year, they were a team that made it to the regional semis, only to lose to Avon. And the thing about the Bulldogs, Matt, that is so interesting coming into this game is Olmsted Falls asked Chardon. They said, hey, we want to play you. So Olmsted Falls is coming up here, and they wanted this matchup. They really, a group of seniors, made it to the state semis or the regional semis last year. They want to know how they stand against a team like the Hilltoppers.
Well, they will certainly find out as we are just moments away from kickoff here. It is a packed house at Chardon Memorial, and it is a, electric atmosphere to say the least.
It is. I mean, the Hilltopper fans are here as always, and Olmsted Falls is a program that travels really well. It's about an hour 20 from Olmsted Falls up here, and they've got that visitor side packed, and they're standing all along the side. So a great Friday night crowd tonight. This is going to be an exciting one.
Well, it's what was, in a way, missing last year when the Hilltoppers opened up the season out at Riverside. But they finally get to do it right, get to be here tonight for the community, and the community has come out. They have responded. I was here at 5:45, could not get a parking spot where I normally park. I know you had issues with it, which is great. That means that it's going to be, I got a feeling it could be like this all year long here, and that's awesome.
That would be awesome. And, you know, you got a great matchup tonight. And, man, they got the weather going for them, too. 78 degrees. I mean, it is absolutely perfect, very comfortable. You worry about humidity in August. That's not a problem tonight. It's a great night to play some football.
Nearly perfect conditions. And, folks, this is going to be a very interesting year for the Hilltoppers because we talked about this last year, Ryan. They had a bullseye on their back. That bullseye has grown exponentially now.
Yeah, that bullseye just got bigger, and And that's what you talk about when you mention, hey, Olmsted Falls called and they wanted to play Chardon. There's that bullseye. The Bulldogs want to see how they measure up against this team. So it's immediate out the gate where the Hilltoppers are going to feel that bullseye on their back after the 2 straight state titles.
And by the way, I want to, you got to give a shout out to Olmsted Falls head coach Tom DeLuca, because he had the guts to do that. There are a lot of programs that frankly don't want to play Chardon. Chardon's too good. They're too physical.
You get afraid when they win a couple state titles.
Yeah. And you know, the sad thing is, it's the same thing that teams like St. Ignatius, St. Ed's, Kirtland, they all have those same problems.
Exactly, that's true. And you know, at least for Chardon, they have a conference to give them 6 games on the schedule. You talk about St. Ed's or St. Ignatius, it's a real challenge. Sometimes those schools only play 8 games in a season because of that. But yeah, the Bulldogs willing to come down here, and they want to see what they can do, and you like a program. It says a good thing about your program when you're willing to take on that challenge and say, I'm not afraid of them. I want to see how I measure up.
Well, one of the reasons why they're not afraid is they return a senior running back, Rocco Conti, 5'9", 190. Last year, over 2,000 yards. He is the man who the offense goes to. We're going to be seeing him in just a little bit here. But make no doubt about it, the Hilltoppers have been working to key up on him this week in practice.
Yeah, and for the Bulldogs, senior is going to be a key word. There are a lot of seniors coming back on this team that made a deep playoff run a year ago, and they're ready to see where they can get this year.
Hilltoppers don't have that experience, but they have kind of an X factor in the sense that a lot of these guys that are playing tonight were the guys going up against last year's starters every day in practice.
Yeah.
That counts for something.
Yeah, and you bring back your quarterback on the offensive end, Alex Henry, to lead the charge. And look, on that defensive end, I mean, that secondary, you've got Liebhardt, Columbi, Bruce again this year. They were huge. And, you got Heath Fetchick returning in that linebacker core. You still have guys like Cooper Felger up front. So Chardon certainly is returning a lot of players that were a big part of that team last year. But then you're right, some of the guys that practice against them are now getting their chance on the field as well.
So back deep to receive is Jack Pinchek and Rocco Conti. The new kicker for Chardon, Joseph Evans, sends it deep. Wave it off. Well, not how you want to start things off.
No. That's a tough way to go. And that penalty is offsides against the Bulldogs.
I guess, though, if you're...
Oh, no, it's not. Okay, they're going the other way. That's why we were both confused for a second. All right, we walked off the wrong.
The thing is, though, if you're the Hilltoppers, and this is one of the few mistakes you make tonight, that's okay, because that can be worked on.
Yes, that's right. It's your first time out there. You got a new kicker running the show here.
Boy, and that just seems strange within itself, too. Joseph Evans, the senior, 6'0", 160. He has the kicking duties, both punting, kickoff, and field goals. Arm in the air. Bit of a line drive kick, and Pinchik is going to take it at the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, spun around and down shy of the 30. Toppers will bring the defense out on the field. It looked like Vinny Columbi, number 34, made that tackle.
Yeah, Vinny Columbi, the sophomore, getting some time out there on the kick team, able to make that stop. Good work, too, because that was close to breaking into the open field.
First and 10, Bulldogs from the Hilltopper 28-yard line. Bulldogs in their white uniforms working their way right to left down the field. Jimmy Rossell under center, a sophomore, 6'0", 170. Going to fake the pitch, looking to throw it. No, he's going to keep it, tuck it, and run right side. Now he will throw it, bounced it off. Somebody down that right side, incomplete.
Yeah, getting in there in coverage, A.J. Bruce able to knock that sideline pass away. So First play of the game, A.J. Bruce, right where he left off at corner a year ago.
Well, what's interesting, the Bulldogs generally do not like to throw the football. Figured we'll only see that a handful of times tonight.
Yeah, that was originally a run play, but QB had the option as that play broke down. He thought he saw an opening down the sideline to get positive yardage, but tough to throw against this Chardon secondary.
Now you're going to see the Bulldogs in a wishbone a lot tonight. Mentioned Rocco Conti, Jack Pinchek, a senior, 5'11", 200. And the give is to Conti, and he's brought down in the backfield for a loss.
Yeah, had the option there, pulled back from the fullback, talks to the jetback who was coming around, and the Hilltoppers are just right there to blow that up. Good work. You know, practicing against this team is a lot like teams have to do practicing against Chardon. Don't look at the player, know where the football is, and just keep your eye on that ball through all that misdirection.
Aiden Hurt, by the way, going to be the other back in the backfield. A senior, 5'8", 160 for Rossel. Man goes in motion. Rossel dropping back to pass, stepping up in the pocket, feeling pressure, flushing out right side, looking to throw, and he is going to be brought down for a sack near the 20-yard line. The Hilltopper defense, pick your man. There were so many black jerseys out there, hard to say who that was.
Yeah, but they do a great job on the line, and one of the first guys I see coming back pumped up is Cooper Felger, the big senior on that defensive line. He's going to lead that group up front this year, and there is a leading play right there.
4th down and 16 from the 22. And Noah Minadio will be ready to punt the ball for the Bulldogs. Fetchick, as we saw last year, will be doing the punting return duties. Makes the catch beyond the 30, gonna make his way up near the 35, and that is where Alex Henry and company will be coming out to take the field.
Yeah, so great start from your defense, get you that 3 and out, get that big negative play at the end of that drive, give you a little bit of energy coming out. Let's see if the offense can pick up that energy right away against a tough team and get down the field. Scoring first is so important, especially when you're at home here in a big crowd. You could really get things turned against the Bulldogs.
Well, a year ago, so many questions surrounded the QB, Alex Henry. This year, those question marks are gone. Henry, of course, a senior, 6'3", 195. He is the man when it comes to the offense. Henry going to keep it himself, going left side between the tackles. Very little gain on that play.
He's the man on the offense, and he's such a great athlete, but it's more than that. He really took on the leadership role last year, and he's going to carry that into this year as a senior, and very impressive leader down there for that offense is Alex Henry.
Gain of 1 on that play will be 2nd down and 9 for the Toppers from the 36. Man goes in motion. They will give it up, coming right side and getting a few yards on that. I think that was Zach. Nope, check that. That was not. That was Caleb Hewitt.
Able to get that hole off the right side of the offensive line. And it sets up a 3rd down and 3, so that was a nice gain there by Hewitt.
Well, Hewitt, one of the faster Hilltoppers on this team, a sophomore. Made a nice play and scored a touchdown in that scrimmage against Menor. Pitch coming right side, and Fetchick across the 45 picks up the 1st down.
Yeah, good work there. Nice second effort there. Got behind the block, able to get over the line. Bulldogs weren't able to get there in time. Eventually, it was Derek Necker coming in, the inside linebacker, getting the stop on the outside of that play.
Guys up front, by the way, for the Hilltoppers tonight includes Andrew Bagat, a freshman, 6'3", 240. Treadell Graves, a sophomore, 6'2", 220. Colin Udath, a junior, 6'1", 220, this center. Mark Hall, a sophomore, 6'3", 245. And Logan Bryant, the right tackle, a junior, 6'0", 255.
Well, in the early going of this game, it sure looks like the Bulldogs are keyed in on Alex Henry. They were able to stop him for a really short game the first time he carried. Again, the same thing. He gets about a yard, but there's 5 Bulldogs right there. They're not going to let Alex Henry beat them on the ground tonight.
Charlie Brock, the junior, 6'0", 200, the starting tight end. And Zach Henneman, the junior, 6'0", 170, your starting wide receiver tonight. In the game now, though, I think that's Derek Galinak at the split end. Hewitt gets the call, beg your pardon, going left side near the 50, crosses midfield.
Yeah, nice work there by Hewitt to get to the outside and, again, set up a 3rd down and 4. So this is 2 straight times they go to Caleb Hewitt on 2nd down. He does a nice run to give Chardon a manageable situation on 3rd down.
Should we address the obvious question, the elephant in the room?
Go ahead. You can do it, man. You address it.
Yes, he is the son of head coach Mitch Hewitt. Just in case you were all wondering.
I let you handle that big stuff. I just kind of sit here.
Henry has some running room right side, turns it up the field, first down, Hilltoppers. Alex Henry, a good decision, and picks up, well, actually, they will.
He's short. He only got to the 35. He needed the 34.
That was
the 45. He needed the 44.
Boy.
It was close. I could certainly see having him down there. Where was he at? Where was, all that stuff that comes in?
Chardon's MO, you know what they're doing, folks. They're going to be going for it. This is where you miss Sean Carr from last year, but maybe it's an opportunity for Nick Fay to get a carry. A little bit of movement.
That's a false start. On the near side, they have Cooper Felger out there lining up to give some extra size on that offensive line for 4th and 1, and he jumped.
No, he didn't. Hilltopper's going to bring out the punting unit now with Joseph Evans.
Those are the type of penalties that week 4, week 5 really those penalties happen in week 1. Everyone's back out here for the first time. That adrenaline is flowing for the first time. You're going to see some false starts in the first couple of weeks. It's going to happen.
Michael Candon near side. Jack Pinchek on the right side. Punt, a little bit low, will take a topper bounce. Down to the 10. Chardon will let it roll. Inside the 10, and that's where the Bulldogs will be pinned back deep inside their own territory.
That was a nice punt. Made it, nice and short enough that it couldn't be returned, and then took a nice roll, able to pin it inside the 10, and a Bulldogs offense that couldn't get anywhere their first possession against the Hilltoppers now finds themselves with a 92-yard field to the end zone. Tonight's special cable cast is being underwritten by the Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club supporters. The game is also being streamed by the Chardon Athletic Department for a one-time fee of $10. Some or all of the proceeds from streaming revenue will go to the athletic department. This year's football program has the largest number of participants, grades 7 through 12, and the equipment costs for these players are enormous. It is hoped that the net revenue of the game streaming will help offset some of those costs.
Well, 5:53 to play here in the first quarter. We've seen the Bulldogs offense unit. We've seen the Hilltoppers offensive unit. And, I don't think it's a surprise. The defense is a little bit ahead of the game right now on both sides.
Yeah, and so far in the first 2 drives, this game has played out as we thought it was. It was going to be on the ground. The only pass came off a designed run play where the QB decided to take an option at the last second. But otherwise, this game is playing out as we expected, and I think we expected this game to be about the defenses, and it's starting that way.
Bulldogs back on the field. Rossel under center. Wishbone formation behind him. And they will give it to Conti. Conti makes a couple cuts up near the 15, 16-yard line. Felger in on that stop. Will Francis also in on that tackle.
That's a nice job by Conti, and you see part of that. He's only 5'9". At 190, he's a big, strong 5'9" with a good base, and he can just slip right under those tackles. If you're on the defense, if you're in the linebacking core, you could lose him behind a defensive lineman. It makes him really sneaky down there.
Goes in motion again, but this time it's a handoff up the middle, and the big man Pinchek picks up the first down across the 20.
And that gives you a nice change of pace guy, too. Pinchek in there, 200 pounds, comes in a couple inches heavier, bigger guy. Both are very talented, though. Gives the Bulldogs a nice 1-2 punch for defenses to have to worry about.
Gavin Moore, the wide out to the right. They will fake the handoff. Rossel going to keep it himself over the 30, down about to the 33-yard line. Another big gain for the Falls.
Yeah, they're coming out here on this second series, and they're really doing a good job of mixing it up. It's been 3 different runners 3 different times. They're kind of coming from different directions there, and making the Hilltoppers look at all levels of that offense to figure out what they're going to do.
Will be 2nd and 1 for the Bulldogs. Ball on the 32. Rossel going to send Conti. No. Wave it off. There's a flag.
Hilltoppers jumped. This is going to be a first down for it was in the center of that defensive line. I believe it was Aiden Smith who jumps. That's a first down for the Bulldogs. It'll move the chains. Second procedural penalty against the Hilltoppers already in this first quarter. Third on the kickoff as well.
So now 1st and 10 from the 37. Rossel will fake it. Dropping back, he has Conti near side. He's going to be hit, thrown, incomplete, but a late flag comes out.
I think it's going to be holding on the Bulldogs, I believe. That was just a great play. So dropping back to pass is not going to be an option for the Bulldogs tonight. I mean, that pass rush coming strong. So you'll do the math on it and determine that you're going to take that penalty from where the flag was thrown and take that 10 yards. There's a big loss on the sack, but the loss on that penalty is an even larger one.
Well, as Hilltopper fans know, when you're a running team and you are backed up like that, makes it a lot tougher to get the first down, but not impossible. First down and forever from Olmsted Falls. They're looking to throw again. They dump it off. Ball is caught, but very little to go for on Conti.
But, I mean, I don't know how the Bulldogs got that play off, as backing up for his life, feeling that pressure was Rossel, and Conti's only 5'9". That throw was well over his head, and somehow he rose up out of a whole group of guys to make that catch.
That young man can jump.
He can. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how the Bulldogs made that play, but it was nicely done between the two of them.
2nd and 24 from the 23. Rossel stopped behind the line, brought down Austin Green.
Yeah, nice play there by the Hilltoppers to get in there, get the stop, set up 3rd and 24. And this is, we say it every year, we'll say it a lot again this year. The one thing you can't do against the Hilltoppers defense is get behind the chains. And commit that holding penalty 6 yards behind the chains, all of a sudden you're facing 26 to go. It's probably the end of that series.
It never bodes well for opponents, and when you look at it, Chardon giving up in their last 36 game on average just 8 points a game. Rossel again feeling more pressure. Toppers bringing it. He avoids one. Going to chuck it down the field. Ball up in the air. It's going to fall incomplete and no flag.
That was just great play by A.J. Bruce again. The cornerback, can't say enough about how he plays the position. He does a great job. He finds that receiver. He keeps his body exactly in the position. He makes that play he needs, the way he needs to make it to avoid the penalty. That's A.J. Bruce right there, and that secondary, it's It's going to be really hard to throw this year for the opponents. That's 2 nice plays by A.J. Bruce already in the first quarter of the first game this year.
Officials are huddling. My eyes were down the field. I did not see a flag, so I'm not sure what the discussion is.
Yeah, I was watching down the field as well. Well, now they're all here, so.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to plan for parties.
We should certainly be able to figure it out, right?
Well, the Hilltoppers. Personal foul against the Hilltoppers will give.
It's an automatic first down. 15 yards, automatic first. Yeah, we were looking upfield. I'm guessing some choice words were said at the line and one of the officials heard it.
I don't know.
It's unfortunate because it erases that great play and that whole great series.
It's now a 1st and 10 for Olmsted Falls, and Conti gets away from one man, but cannot get away from Felger, who brings him down near the, I will say, 44.
Yeah, is able to make a nice run there, pick it up. 2nd and 5. See how this Bulldogs offense bounces back now. They get some new life after that holding penalty. And we'll see how this Chardon defense responds. That play didn't go the way you wanted it. Got to pin your ears back and get another 3 downs.
Conti gets the call again right side and is close to the first down marker. Boy, he has made some nice decisions with the football early on in this game tonight.
Yeah, he has. He does a good job being able to find those gaps. That's a big offensive line when you look down there at the Bulldogs. They're able to open up some nice gaps for him to run to. And again, we talked about how Conti can disappear behind a lineman and all of a sudden show up. And he's definitely taking advantage of those situations. And this is 4-down territory here, you would think, for the Bulldogs. I'd imagine they came here to be aggressive, and they will be, even if they come up short on 3rd down.
3rd and 1 from the 48. Conti the call again, running room right side, 40, 35, spinning around and brought down near the 30.
Well, he popped that to the outside. The Hilltoppers were thinking that run was going to come up the middle. That's where the linebackers started going, and Conti just changed his mind, popped to the outside, and then there was no second level as the linebackers had already come back into that offensive backfield. So plenty of room for Conti to pick up the first down before the secondary could catch up to him.
Biggest gain of the night for Olmsted Falls. 1st and 10 from the 29. Pitch out right side along the sidelines. Gavin Moore the catch, and Gavin going to bring it down inside the 25.
We mentioned the Bulldogs are doing a nice job of mixing things up on this series. There's another example of that there. Haven't had much going in the passing game. They want to complete something and show that look. They go to a really quick screen, get it to the outside, and pick up 5 yards on it. They're moving right now.
How often do you see a team control the time of possession in a big way against Chardon in a quarter, and that just happened?
So it's going to be a key for the Bulldogs to winning this game is controlling that TOP.
Well, folks, we're going to pause, take a time out here. No score. We've played 1 quarter from Chardon Memorial.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper varsity football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Hatai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law, LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters, and by GTV.
Welcome back, everyone. Second quarter action about to begin here on GTV. The Bulldogs have a 2nd down and 4 from the 23 as they are now going left to right toward the student section. Bit of a high snap. Rossel being spun around, will pitch it out. And the Hilltoppers going to gather around and limit the damage there. Boy, they caught a break. Ended up optioning it out to Michael Kandow, who happened just to be in the area.
It's one of those separators for the Hilltoppers defense. One of those things they do that you don't always see defenses do at this level. They never give up on a play. So a lot of teams, you'll see them think that sack is going to happen, and that emergency option at the running back is wide open for a big game on that. Hilltoppers had 4 guys coming at that guy knowing it was a possibility. One of the separators for this defense, and it puts them in a good situation here.
3rd and 10 from the 29. Hilltoppers D looking to make a stand here. Give going right side. No, it was Rossel who kept it himself. Picked up a few yards out near the 28, maybe the 27, depending on the spot of the football. But it'll bring up 4th down, and the Hilltoppers D may finally be able to get off the field here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this has been nice. You know, you got off the field for that quarter break, briefly got a chance to regroup, and the 2 plays coming out of the quarter break. Hilltopper defense has made some big plays. It's 4th down and 9. Got to avoid the penalty here, but there's no way the Bulldogs aren't going for it.
So Jimmy Rossel under center, wishbone formation behind him. Sends Kandow in motion. Flags are flying.
Yeah, they had 2 guys move. A little bit of miscommunication there up front. Yeah, from where I'm sitting, saw the call come in, and I saw both jetbacks move. Only one of them can make that move. And Conti caught himself and went back into the stance. I think Conti was frankly surprised to see Williams coming his way.
Kandow, Conti, and Pinchek. Rossel again feeling more pressure as Felder behind him. Being chased, looking for something. Going to be brought down, and there's the turnover on downs. The Hilltopper D makes the stand.
Yeah, great work by the Hilltoppers. Come out and make 3 big plays to start this second quarter. And you're right, the Bulldogs held the ball for the final 6 minutes of that first quarter. You don't see that very often. The Hilltoppers come out, make the big stop down there, and
it was Austin Lazinski who forced them out of bounds.
Nice work there by the Hilltoppers, and their offense comes out and takes over. This is the second time we've seen the Hilltopper offense so far today.
Well, we hope to be seeing them more than once per quarter. Hewitt goes in motion, but it's Henry who keeps it up the gut, and Henry brought down shy of the 45 near the 44.
Yeah, good work that time by that offensive line for the Hilltoppers, able to get up there. Treadell Graves and Colin Udath opened up that hole, and Henry had plenty of space to run through to pick up 6.
It is a young offensive line. Again, a freshman and 2 sophomores. Movement, the question is, which side of the football did it start? Everybody's pointing at everybody.
I was going to say, if you ask the 2 teams, it was the other team.
I just know it wasn't me.
Yes, and it is. It's going to go against the Bulldogs. That'll be a first down. That'll move the chains. So Olmsted Falls commits a procedural penalty now. They have a couple of those in this one.
Well, you look at the Bulldogs, a team filled with a lot of seniors. Now, graduation did hit them hard too. On the other hand, you have the Hilltoppers, lost a lot to graduation, but more underclassmen having to step up this year and learn quickly.
and it's especially evident on that offensive line. That is a young group. They're playing well so far early in this one.
QB keeper and Henry maybe a yard or two on that run left side. The Bulldogs will play with that 3-down lineman situation. Look, they've got the big boy up front right now playing nose tackle, and Dominic Rivera, a senior 6'7", 320, who's headed to Rutgers. Hewitt the call, Hewitt going left side, maybe 2 yards on that run.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hewitt took a slip on the turf there. You saw his foot briefly go, and that gave the Bulldogs time to kind of close out that left side. And still a couple, but it's 3rd and long now.
Rivera poses that problem, though, because with him there, you have a tough time running up the middle. Now, if you're the Hilltoppers, the hope is that you can start wearing them down the later this game goes on, as we've seen in the past from Chardon. Handoff right side, Bruce. Bruce makes a cutout, bouncing around, and Bruce very close to the first down marker.
Yeah, he's going to, on the near side official, looks like he might be coming up, I mean, right on the 42, maybe a bit short. And yeah, so he's going to be a bit short. But that's exactly what Bruce was used for last year. That's a change of pace down there. You get a fast guy out there to run you to the outside. So much has been happening in the middle. You get A.J. Bruce out there for the big gain. But, 4th and short, like you said earlier, the Hilltoppers are going for it here.
Leo Columbia enters the game as the split end, and with 7:01 to go, Hilltoppers decide to take a timeout.
Yeah, they're going to want to take a moment to talk about this one, Matt. They had the false start penalty on their last 4th and short. Well, GTV is still providing live audio-only coverage of Hilltopper football, home and away on GTV channel 1025. You can listen to the Toppers in the comfort of your own home with the score on the screen and the golden tones of our announcing team as we bring you all the action. So if you can't make it to the game, be sure to tune in. The Toppers on GTV channel 1025.
I didn't think I was old enough to be considered golden.
Matt's the golden tones. I'm still whatever you call the younger tones, right?
Hey, I'm not over the... Jeez. Thank you, Mr. Foster. If we only had you mic'd up. Oh, boy.
It's good to be back, man. I'm glad to be sitting here with you for another season.
I can't tell you how good it feels to be back, folks. I got up this morning, extra pep in my step. To me, it almost felt like going back to school, like the first day of school.
Oh, I never had pep in my step on that day. You must have liked school.
Oh, I love school. I had my, I could do no wrong at Wycliffe. I was a good boy who got good grades, and that allowed me to do a lot of other things.
That's good.
4th and 1 from the 42. Bruce going in motion, and Toppers will not get anything out of that run. I actually lost track of who got the football, but didn't matter. The Bulldogs snuffed it out, and Rossell and company coming back out on the field.
Trying to go for it on 4th and short, and that defensive line up front for the Bulldogs just overwhelmed the Chardon offensive line on that play. There was just nowhere to go. Chardon loses a couple yards, and it's a turnover on downs. And this is the first, Chardon's been in control of the field position part of this game. It's a big reason why that long drive for the Bulldogs didn't end at any points. Here the Bulldogs get to start at their own 45, which is their best starting field position of the game.
Well, you also have to be concerned, the longer this defense stays on the field, how much will that hurt them later on in this game? Run up the gut, and that's nothing. Defensive line able to put Pinchik back at the line of scrimmage.
Got nice work there up front for the Hilltoppers. Able to get that stop. sure this Hilltoppers defense is keyed up to get a 3 and out here.
They would love it. I don't even think we talked about who the starters were yet in this game, just the way that this game has progressed. We'll get to that shortly here. Shame on me for that one. Handout with the run. Gained a couple of yards there.
Games like this are fun because when the ball stays on the ground, that pace of the game keeps moving. And that's what makes them fun. You got a team that'll come in here and throw 3 incomplete passes. It sometimes just kills any feel of a pace the game has. But you got 2 teams like this on the field. It's played at a great pace, and the game becomes really, really fun.
3rd down and 8. Timeout called by the Bulldogs. DeLuca did not like what he saw.
Well,
you look. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to remind all of our great viewers and listeners that you can get GTV on Roku and Apple TV on your cell phone. Yes, iPhone or Android. All you got to do is look for the Cablecast app in your store, and you'll have GTV on your phone so you can take Matt and I wherever you go.
Ryan, want to give a shout out to the defensive starters in this one. Didn't get a chance to do that earlier, but defensive line: Alice Kisley, Aiden Smith, Cooper Felger, Austin Lazinski. The linebackers: Heath Fetchick, Mario Tolo, and Austin Green. And in the secondary: Caleb Hewitt, Trey Liebhart, Leo Columbi, and AJ Bruce. Of course, a lot of other guys getting subbed in and subbed out for to keep them fresh. One of the issues with a game like tonight, the warm weather, potential for cramping. You want to keep these kids fresh as best as you can for the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Yeah, you want to watch that, and you especially look at the Bulldogs have an 8-minute drive in this game, so that all snap-wise starts to add up on your defense when you get into the second half. So you want to rotate them out, keep those legs good.
Pivotal play here. Rosso looking to throw, stepping up. He's hit, and it is going to be caught at the 40-yard line. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great play down there. First time a receiver has managed to get open for Rosel and able to make a nice athletic catch was Herzog down there. Moves the chains for the Bulldogs, so the Hilltoppers had him pushed back, and Olmsted Falls was a good timeout. They called the play, and they pick up the first down.
From the 40, Conti nearly lost it. Boy, the ball popped out, but right back into his hands.
Yeah, he absorbed a pretty big hit there from Heath Fetchick. Nice play by Fetchick getting out there in the open field to bring an end to that run. And if that ball had popped out, Liebhart was right there, and he's a guy who could have scooped and ran for a while. So Conti, fortunate that he was able to hold on to that football.
Well, and we've seen Heath Fetchick last year make big hit after big hit after big hit, and he brings a lot of experience and toughness to this defense. 2nd and 6 from the 36. Rosso looking to go left side, and a lot of black jerseys around him. He did pick up maybe 3 or 4 on that run. We'll bring up 3rd and short.
Nice, and you're talking again, 4-down territory here for the Bulldogs. So they're perfectly fine with where they're at 3rd and 4, and they've been able to draw up. They've had a number of really nice 3rd down plays. They've kept drives going on 3rd down. It's a rare thing against the Hilltopper defense, but the Bulldogs have been able to do it so far.
In a way, the old Wishbone offense, the only thing we're missing is a cloud of dust with how they're going at this thing.
It's hard to get the dust when everyone plays on the turf now, but those were the good old days.
Big hit! And the Hilltoppers get the stop! Was looking for that play to the belt. Kisley got there, put the initial hit in.
And they nearly forced another turnover there as I watched the football come out of Rosel's hands, and somehow he just got lucky enough that it fell right back in, but that's twice now that the Hilltoppers have almost caused a turnover here on this drive. But here's a 4th down and 7, and you don't want to give another big play to the Bulldogs, get this turned around.
They're getting warmed up.
They're getting warmed up. They're getting close. You know, the 3rd time is the charm is what they say.
It's going to be 4th down and 7 from the 37.
But you can see the Bulldogs here, what their strategy. They're probably going to end up using a timeout here. They don't want the Hilltoppers to have a lot of time at the end of this half. Don't want to risk the Hilltoppers getting a quick score with some momentum to go into the locker room. Bulldogs ran that clock all the way down on 4th down, as little time as possible for the Hilltoppers. This is a good program. They know limiting Chardon's time of possession is their key to staying in this game. That's what they're doing here at the end of the half.
Absolutely. So 3:01 to go. The Bulldogs do call their 2nd timeout of this first half.
Well, hey, remember, you can check out channels 1020 and 1025 or the GTV website for our information on all the fall athletics we have going on. You can check it out for replay dates and times as the fall season has started and in full swing now. So we are going. Also, don't forget the community and school bulletin board services 24 hours a day on 1020 and 1025. Check GTV's website, www.geaugatv.org, for details. This is a big play for the Hilltoppers here. The Bulldogs are going to try to draw something up, but want to make sure you get off the field here. You don't want to give the Bulldogs that amount of momentum here.
And the Bulldogs 3 first downs in this game so far, and they have won the battle when it comes to yards from scrimmage. But in a way, it shouldn't be a surprise because they've held the ball for the better part of a quarter and a half.
Big moment late in this half for the Hilltopper defense.
From the gun, and we have not seen this tonight. 4th and 7. Actually, check that. They're punting. So Noah Manadio puts a punt up. Fetchick going to let it roll, and it goes into the end zone for the touchback.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. They've come out so aggressive here, and here late in this game, you know, they're playing for that. They're playing to keep the score tied at 0. I guess they decided they didn't want to risk turning the ball over on a big play there. And so they're hoping, I mean, their defense has done a good job of shutting down this Hilltopper offense in the first half. They're hoping for one more stop from their defense, and they're hoping they could head to the locker room up here at Chardon tied at 0. I think they would have taken that if you asked them on the bus on the way here.
I think a lot of schools would take that.
Yep.
Have not seen Alex Henry pass the ball yet. Of course, without his big receiver in Andrew Salka. Well, they'll run the ball right side, pick up a few yards.
Nice job getting out there, going to the right. You pick up 5, you keep things rolling.
But without Alex Salka, and that's a huge target that you miss. But they do have some guys capable of making plays if you can get them the ball. The question now becomes almost an issue with the time with the clock, Ryan.
So if you look at where the Hilltoppers are at, they won the toss, they deferred. That's what Coach Hewitt likes to do, and there's a reason for that. They don't have to rush this drive at all. They're getting the football to start the second half. There's no need for the Hilltoppers to rush down the field and score here. They'll take 0-0 as well and reset for the second half.
Henry broke one tackle, nearly broke a second out near the 33. That will temporarily stop the clock as they move the chains.
That was a big run by Alex Henry, and you're right. He was able to fight his way out of that first tackle to pick it up. Good, strong runner. Everyone knows the athlete he is. He's a really strong guy, too, and you saw it there with him breaking that tackle.
Yeah, up to 195 pounds, so he put on a few pounds over the offseason of all muscle. And that was, of course, after basketball season ended. Henry will hand the football off. A.J. Bruce left side, 40, 45. Bruce taking off down the field. Bruce all alone in the end zone. Touchdown, Toppers!
Now you change the pace on them with A.J. Bruce. You get him sweeping out to the near side of the field. You had run to the right. You had run up the middle. Now you go left with some speed. The Bulldogs were nowhere to be found, and the Hilltoppers are on the board first. And, you know, time of possession is great, but all you really need is the big play, and the Hilltoppers just got it there, and they'll get the football to start the second half. So Chardon in a great spot now. What a run by A.J. Bruce.
Now we get to see Joseph Evans with the extra point. We saw him kick off, but now we get to see him put a point on the board. Kick is up, it is in the air, and it is good. So with a minute 30 to play before halftime, the Hilltoppers strike first thanks to the 66-yard touchdown run by A.J. Bruce and lead this one 7-0.
And we haven't talked about it much because A.J. Bruce is a defensive starter, but he's going to get 5 to 10 touches in a game. He is such a key to this offensive attack to Chardon because without the need for Alex Henry to throw the football, A.J. Bruce gives you the deep threat with his speed. And you can get him to the outside out of that formation, and, he could be gone in a hurry like he was right there.
Well, I had the chance after the championship game to talk with A.J., ask some questions. We were actually in the interview room at that point in time. And one of the things I said to him was, all right, how do you improve upon this year? You burst onto the scene, you're a sophomore, you're starting in the secondary, and all of a sudden, you become one of the key guys on the offense. And in short, he said, I have to get better. And I think we just saw a little bit of that right there where he made a good decision on that run, able to turn on the Jets, and took that one to the house.
Yeah, that was a big play there. And it's exactly what the Hilltopper need. It changes the entire complexion of where we're headed at halftime right now. And it moves momentum from the Bulldog side to the Hilltopper side.
That kick into the end zone. Touchback for the Hilltoppers.
I was a little surprised to see the Bulldogs end that last drive in the punt. I know that they got it into the end zone, so the Hilltoppers were further back than they would have been if the Bulldogs, but they came up here to measure themselves against the Hilltoppers, and they've been aggressive the whole time, and then you get close to halftime, and you start playing the clock game, and you lose that aggressiveness, and 4 plays later, your team's coming back out down by a touchdown.
It's essentially the opposite of a prevent defense. They just played a prevent offense.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the way they were ending up. They were trying to prevent a big play by the Hilltoppers on a turnover.
Well, now Chardon has to do the same thing on there, and Russell going to option it. Left side, Conti trying to break loose. Spins around after being hit a few times and is tackled near the 25. Clock continues to run, 1:18 and counting here before halftime.
Yeah, Rosalind got that out just in time. I bet he's wishing he made that decision about 2 seconds earlier because he really got hit hard right as he was letting go of that one. But Conti able to get to that ball and pick up some positive yardage. It's 2nd down and 5, but the Bulldogs are still playing this one to not give up a big play here. They don't want to fall further behind before the break. They're in no particular hurry.
Time is on their side in that sense. Hand it off up the middle. Toppers not letting anything go there. Loose ball on the ground, but no, officials wave it dead.
Forward progress was already stopped. The officials were right on that. That was when that pile's already moving backwards, and they had already blown that play dead.
That, in all fairness, will likely do it unless the Hilltoppers decide to call a timeout here.
But again, with possession to start the second half, there's no reason for that if the Bulldogs are willing to run the clock down. Not sure exactly where we are on the play clock. It looks like we're going to be able to take it right into the locker room here.
And indeed they do. The clock strikes 0. And we have reached halftime with the score. Your Chardon Hilltoppers 7. And the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs 0. Folks, when we come back, you will get to see the 2022 edition of the Pride of Chardon, the Hilltopper Marching Band.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty. Patai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes. Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions. The Junction Auto Family. Conic Law, LLC. Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. And by GTV.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing the 2022 Chardon Hilltopper Marching Band. The band will be led onto the field this evening by Field Commander Charlotte Johns. Our show for you this evening features different styles of jazz rock. Made famous by trumpet legend Bill Chase in 1971, our opener is Get It On. This powerful electro-pop tune showcases a swing style. Featuring our topperettes and majorettes, here is Confident by Demi Lovato. This version features our percussion section, majorettes, topperettes, and a swing band dance. Here is Sing, Sing, Sing.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Ronyak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Patai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters, and by GTV.
What a wonderful performance by the Hilltopper Marching Band. Solid as always. Loved to hear Sing, Sing, Sing.
Great to have the Marching Hilltoppers back on the field for another season. It's first night is always so awesome, isn't it? It's such a great time to see everything again. And
folks, I want to tell you this. You're spoiled. The wall of sound that you get from your band is just simply amazing. It doesn't matter if it's week 1, week 10, week 16. They are top notch. Was walking around my high school's track on Wednesday when the band was practicing. 50 in the band, maybe 7 trumpets, could barely hear any of them. So just kudos out to the band for all that they do. Liebhart going to take it right side 20, up near the 25.
Able to get up to the 25-yard line.
Well, Ryan,
first time we've seen that kick return unit today for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, and now we get to see the offense the first time here in the second half as we begin the third quarter. And you got to wonder, what adjustments will they have made in the locker room to go against this stingy Bulldog defense?
Yeah, need to come out here. Bulldogs have dominated time of possession. Hilltoppers are going to want to put together a long drive here to start the third quarter.
Empty backfield, now man in motion. They fake it to A.J. Bruce, and Alex Henry up the middle, 5 yards on that run.
Yeah, that's, and it's you know, you get the big touchdown run from A.J. Bruce, so you get him right back out there on the next series, and you make the defense think about A.J. Bruce. He just ripped off the big run. That's going to open things up for Alex Henry now as you have Bruce hanging out on the outside, making those linebackers think.
Henry again from the gun, going to hand it off. Bruce left side, and Bruce going to be forced out of bounds after a short pickup of maybe 3.
Yeah, they were able to keep some contained there. They really pushed Bruce out toward the sideline and then gave the defensive back, Mark Vance, enough time to get in and force him out. Good work by the linebackers that time to really stretch out along that line of scrimmage and force Bruce a long run to try to make a turn.
Will Francis going to bring the play in. Francis, the senior split end, or excuse me, the junior split end, 5'9", 160. Get empty backfield. Pettyjohn goes in motion fake to Pettyjohn, and Henry knocked back from the line of scrimmage. He was just stood up right away, and for the Bulldogs, it was Daniel Reiser, the senior, who hit him first.
Yeah, Bulldogs were keyed up and ready to go to start this second half. Sure that it was, hey, we're only down by a touchdown. If we can get our offense back on the field quickly, we're right in this thing. That's what they did. They get the 3 and out, and from this part of the field, even though it's 4th and short, you have to punt, and that's what the Hilltoppers are going to do.
Joseph Evans will be out to punt the football. Evans handles all the kicking duties now for the Toppers, a senior, 6'0", 160. Saw him punting once before. It was a good punt. This is another good one. He's going to bounce inside the 30 and come to a stop, I don't know, around the 27-ish.
Yeah, you see that from Evans. So we saw the first punt. He needed to try the short punt and try to pin the Bulldogs down deep. He pinned that one inside the 10. And this time he does a nice job. Gets a long punt, flips the field. The Bulldogs have to start back at their own 27. So first 2 punts we've seen from Evans, he's very skilled at it.
Yeah, and he uses the field to his advantage with the bounces that he's been getting. Shows that you don't need to have a, Division I hang time to be a good punter.
No, especially if you know your home turf. Literally this time. It's not home turf in a figurative sense.
1st and 10 from the 28. Rossel from under center, dropping back to pass, stepping up in the pocket. He is hit, throws it away, and the ball is going to be caught by Gavin Moore.
It's a great play by Moore coming down to the turf to be able to scoop that one out. Rossel able to create something out of nothing there. He got hit in the backfield and managed to escape and get rid of that football, and able to find Moore, who makes the play.
What's interesting, Bulldogs have thrown the football tonight. The Hilltoppers have not. Keep that in mind. Rossel will pitch it out left side. There's Pinchek, 40, near the 45, and a first down for Olmsted Falls.
you know, James Rossell, for a sophomore quarterback, he knows how to run this offense, Matt. He's made a number of good decisions. That was another good one. Pulled the ball out from the running back, tossed it out to the jet back instead. He makes some good plays.
First and 10 from the 43 for Falls. Rosso will hand it off, going left side, picking up a few yards. That was Conti. Check that, that was Pinchik.
Now, what we saw in the first half, Matt, was the Bulldogs were able to effectively move the ball to midfield, but midfield is where the Hilltoppers really locked down on the Bulldogs. And outside of one time where they got helped by the penalty by the Hilltoppers, they've never made it out of this midfield range to this point.
2nd and 7 now from the 46. And who has it? It's Rossell himself. Hilltoppers had a tough time figuring it out, but Rossell able to scamper his way out near the 37, and the Dogs are on the move.
We have not seen that much. Rossell runs to the outside a lot. There were a couple of draws. That's the first we've seen it be the straight QB keeper, and the Hilltoppers had a big hole open up front, and he was able to run past that first level and get into the secondary, and the big gain picks up a first down.
Now 1st and 10 from the Topper 37. Dogs on the march. Hilltoppers get a stop. They get Conti in the backfield.
Yeah, this offense is never out of it, and Alex Kinsley comes up. We talked about Cooper Felger in the first half. Kinsley's another returner for last year who's a big part of that defensive line, and he comes up with the initial pressure up front to get that stop.
Kinsley actually switched to number 0 this year.
I was going to say, I don't remember seeing a 0 down there on the defensive line last year.
It bugs me personally. I don't like seeing 0 on a football player, but whatever. It's his number. He likes it. They get another big stop. That time they went to, Derek Necker bounced back.
They're gonna,
and there's an equipment issue with one of the Toppers. Maddox Ciancibello having to come off the field. They had to look at his helmet.
There are about 7 Hilltoppers there swarming to that football, being led by Mario Tolo. And now it's 3rd down and 11. This is kind of the spot in the field where the Bulldogs haven't been able to get past yet, and the Hilltoppers have another opportunity to turn the Bulldogs away here.
A stop here would be huge. Hilltopper fans starting to make some noise. Their team up 7-0 here. 6:18 and counting here. More pressure on Rossell. Chucks it up, and it's going to fall incomplete. Was looking for Michael Candow. Some good coverage by Will Francis.
Now, Will Francis nearly had an interception there as that throw came in behind the wide receiver. He was trying to reach back up, and sometimes when you do that, you'll pop that right into the defensive back's hands. He was able to knock it down instead, though, but that was close to an interception for Will Francis.
4th and 11, the Bulldogs not playing around. They're going for field position, the old trestle ball, if you will. And Manadio back to punt, standing near his 50. Fetch it, calling for the fair catch, and makes it near the 9.
Yeah, if you're the Bulldogs right now, you're going to start to play this field position game because you're feeling pretty good about your defense at this point in time. You gave up the one big play. Otherwise, their defense has really stymied the Hilltopper offense. So you're going to play for field position, make the Hilltoppers pick up 90 yards here to score. Try to get the ball back and have field position around midfield if you can get a quick 3 and out and see what you can do.
Well, Alex Henry, last Topper coming out on the field here. 6:05 to go in the 3rd quarter, 7-0 Chardon. Hilltoppers got on the board with 1:30 to go before halftime. A.J. Bruce, the jet sweep around the left side for the lone score in this one. And wave that one off. Flag from the far side.
That's going to be a false start against the Hilltoppers. Does that make it 1st and 15 from the 5 now? And that's, like we said, you do expect to see some more of those in the first couple weeks, but you know the coaching staff isn't going to take that as a reason. It's something that's going to be talked about next week in practice, you would think, is the procedural penalties.
Henry, take a look at the defense, will now go under center, and he will give the ball off coming left side, and couldn't tell who that was. That was, I believe, Drago Vuyaclia. There we go. I couldn't get a number from my spot.
Stopping Vuyaclia there was Rocco Conti, who does some double duty there as he plays the outside linebacker position as well as one of the lead running backs on the Bulldogs.
Caleb Hewitt back in the game, wing back left side, goes in motion, and Hewitt gets the call, slips again. Boy, his home turf has not been kind to him today. A couple slips.
He's got some jets. He's got some good speed there, but you're right. That's a couple of times down there now tonight where he's slipped on that turf.
Got to get him a little bit of a thicker cleat. Or longer cleat, I guess would be the proper term. Toppers facing a 3rd and 14. First throw of the night caught. Liebhart gets one block. Liebhart up near the 8, and that is it.
Now the Bulldogs have come out of the locker room, Matt, and they have brought it up to another level. 2 3-and-outs on the defensive side. They had some big plays on the offensive side, but what they've got right now is field position. The Hilltoppers started this drive at their own 10, ended this drive at their own 9, and now they're going to punt it away after a 3-and-out, and that's going to leave Michael Kandow standing at about his own 47 for the return.
Evans got the kickoff. Kandow racing in, botched it! Loose ball, Toppers pick it up! The Hilltoppers recover the muffed punt!
And football is a game where momentum can swing on a dime.
Austin Green!
We kind of talked about it last year, Matt, where sometimes there's this whole other factor that comes into playing the Hilltoppers where you start to do things you might not normally do. He was running in a long way to try to catch that one. You might normally fair catch that, but you're feeling some momentum. You're playing the Hilltoppers. You think you're about to make a big play, and you make a mistake, and you can't make mistakes against Chardon because they usually make you pay.
Toppers going to try to go to the air. Henry feeling some pressure, and Henry going to be brought down in the backfield. He had some time to throw, but nobody was open, and eventually the Bulldogs got to him.
Relentless pursuit. Colin Simon got back there first, and Henry was able to dodge that one, but by the time he dodged Simon, there was a couple more Bulldogs back there in that backfield.
Yeah, Dylan Folks, the man who brought him down. Hilltoppers, and I think you kind of expected that they were going to have some struggles tonight with the, I'm going to call it, greenness of the offensive line.
You look down on that defensive line, you see they got a couple of big guys down there. Simon at 6'4", 285.
Bruce gets the handoff left side, makes the guy miss. Bruce down the sideline. 1 minute to beat. It's Conti. Bruce makes him miss the tackle in the end zone. Touchdown, Toppers! A.J. Bruce from 62 yards out.
Good luck catching A.J. Bruce. You talk about one guy to beat. If A.J. Bruce gets in that situation, A.J. Bruce is to the house. And we mentioned it after his first touchdown. I think we're seeing it more and more. That little bit of extra speed from A.J. Bruce is going to be an X factor for this Hilltopper offense tonight. It's resulted in both of their touchdowns. And once again, as we said, if you make a mistake against the Hilltoppers, they'll make you pay. Maybe trying to do too much on that punt return. The Bulldogs lose it, and the Hilltoppers cash in with a touchdown on the ensuing drive.
It's about capitalizing on mistakes. And right there, the Hilltoppers now 6, looking to make it 7 points off a turnover right here if they can get this PAT in. Kick is up, it is in the air, and it is good. So with 2:59 to play in the third quarter, the Hilltoppers extend their lead to 14-0.
You know, Matt, when you look at this game, the Bulldogs, we don't have the numbers in front of us, but the Bulldogs have to be sitting down there saying, we probably are 2-1 in time of possession in this game, and we're the ones who are down by 2 touchdowns. Well, it's not that simple against the Hilltoppers. The Hilltoppers, they've won 28 games in a row for a reason. They make you pay. They don't need to have the ball much to make the big play. And look at that. A.J. Bruce, 138 yards on 4 carries. That's about a 40-yard per carry average, maybe a little more than that. That's a pretty good day. Well, don't forget, birthdays, anniversaries, and other special occasions can be made more special through GTV. Send the terrific picture or pictures to us, and we'll help highlight the event. Please enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope. Once again, our address is GTV, P.O. Box 336, Chardon, Ohio, 44024, or email us that beautiful picture at geogatv@windstream.net.
So the Hilltoppers capitalize on a fumbled punt. They get another A.J. Bruce touchdown. And now, let's see if the defense can keep things going here. That kick into and out of the end zone. Boy, Joseph Evans making us think Nathan Tager who?
Tager had a great career. They're both good kickers. And as we look down
Nathan actually's down on the sidelines.
He is. He's here tonight. Yeah. The season starts so early now, it gives a lot of the guys a chance to come to a game before they leave and move on to college or whatever is next for them. So get an opportunity to come down here. A lot of players from last year's squad down on the sideline tonight.
Just feels like the season starts earlier and earlier each year. In my mind, I don't know.
Well, that's because they did literally add a week earlier last year, so that'll do it.
Well, pass, it is caught. And that's a big gain for the Dogs as they went to the air, and coming down with it was Candow.
Haven't seen that play much, but you're going to string 2 wide receivers to the middle of the field, and you're going to try to hit them when you get in that soft spot between where the linebacker core is and the secondary is. And I thought he almost dropped it. I mean, that ball hit Candow's hands again and almost came out. He secured it, which is good for him because he just lost that punt.
Now 1st and 10, Bulldogs from the 39. They will go to the ground. Conti made one man miss. They got him by the ankles. Will Francis made that ankle tackle for Rocco Conti, limiting him there. Again, a 2,000-yard back who's been held in check so far in this game.
Yeah, he's had a couple of big runs, but otherwise they've kept him down. Of course, then you look up there and you get these situations and you think they held him down. That's an 8-yard gain on 1st down. That's how quick he is you don't realize it's happening.
The more I see him, the more he reminds me of, and the Chardon faithful will remember James Pettyjohn from a few years back. I'm seeing a lot of similarities. They were smaller backs. They had tremendous speed, able to make good cuts and make some good reads on the line.
Yeah, he gets to run behind a guy like Dominic Rivera, who's 6'7", 320. Good luck seeing the 5'9" running back behind him as he's coming out from that line.
They'll hand it off. This time it's Pinchek across the 50 and out near the 47. Toppers have, if you will, a little bit of wiggle room, but you hate to give up a response score right now on this drive.
Yeah, the response score changes everything. If you get into the 4th quarter up by 2 scores at home, it's really hard on the Bulldogs, but if they get that touchdown and they now have some momentum going their way, kind of changes the whole way they're feeling right now. But again, we have to remember, this is how this game has gone. The Bulldogs have had no problem moving the football until they get to about the Hilltopper 40, and that's where the Hilltopper defense just shuts them down.
They're going to run the ball right side. Pinchek And Pinchek up near the 40. This actually, where will they spot this football? They're going to spot him just, a yard shy.
Up at the 38. We thought it was a little further behind than that, but we're not down there, so we don't know.
Right in front of me. Sitting on the 37. Second down and about a yard. They'll hand it off. Pinchek picks up the first down as he gets near the 35-yard line.
Move the chains. He didn't need much, and he was able to get enough, just kind of coming off that left side and really diving ahead. Just dive toward that marker and move the chains.
Now, this Hilltopper defense has been out on the field a long time in this game, and starting to see some guys hands on their hips. Normally not something you see from the Hilltoppers.
Well, this is kind of reverse of the way it was last year. Last year would be the Hilltoppers doubling up the other team 2-1 in time of possession. Now, tonight, it's the other way, so it's that Hilltopper defense that's been on the field a lot.
Handoff. Couple yard gain right there.
And that brings us to the end of the third quarter, and that's the concern coming into the fourth quarter is, how have the Bulldogs worn down this Hilltopper defense over 3 quarters with this run game?
Well, we'll find out. After 3, it's the Toppers 14 and the Bulldogs nothing. We'll take a timeout and come back with more here on GTV.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper varsity football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Hatai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law, LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters, and by GTV.
And we begin the fourth quarter here at Chardon Memorial. Matt Jaworski, Ryan Radke with you on GTV. Hilltoppers looking to make it 29 in a row, but they've got to stop the Bulldogs, who are on the move. They'll go to the ground again and out near the 30-yard line. Falls gaining a few more yards there. Can be 3rd and short.
Yeah, so like I said, this is the part of the field where the Bulldogs have stalled out, but now they're at 3rd and manageable, and it's about as deep into Hilltopper territory as they have managed to get. And this is a nice recovery for them because they just had the muff punt, and then they gave up the big touchdown, but they've bounced back and put together another long drive.
Well, starting this quarter, they had 109 yards on the ground, 43 through the air. They give it to Conti going right side, and Conti again met a lot of black jerseys.
Second effort, I think, got him there. Maybe. We'll see where they put it. He was awfully close. There was a second push in there after he was initially met, and I think they're leaving him. Now, they might have to bring these out. Where are they going to put the football? Well, they're not bringing it out. They're moving the chains.
Down.
I was saying, that was second effort. The initial defensive push got to him and stopped him, but he had a couple of those big linemen kind of pushing him from behind, and they were able to drag him across for that first down.
1st and 10 from the 26. Pinchek in the backfield. Conti goes in motion. They give it to Pinchek right side. Pinchek heading toward the end zone. Makes a cut down near the 5 and knocked out a play near the 4. And Pinchek is down. Boy, that's a shame to see.
Yeah, he's had a nice game today, and it's the first game for Pinchek of his senior season, and you just hope when you see a situation like this in week 1, the guy is going to be all right. You'd hate to see anything otherwise.
Well, we are going to take a timeout here on GTV. Well, the good news, Jack Pinchek able to be helped up off the turf, but then able to walk to the bench on his own power. Give us to Conti. Conti toward the end zone. No, short.
Just a little short down there. Good push up front. I'll tell you one thing, with this defensive line and linebacker core, the Hilltoppers aren't just going to let you dive into the end zone for a touchdown here.
Hand off to Conti again, left side. Again, very close. He's fighting for it, but I believe, well, the Bulldogs on the left side of the line are on the far side of the line are celebrating.
They're waiting.
Well, I have not seen an official raise there we go. The referee just put his hands up and said touchdown. Multiple Bulldogs were doing it, but nobody else.
It looked like they stopped the play, and then it looked like the ball came out because I saw an official throw the marker for that. They're orange now, they're not blue anymore. I saw the orange marker come out, and I think the football then was picked up by the Bulldogs in the end zone, obviously, for the touchdown, because the Hilltoppers initially stopped that run short.
Noah Manadio, well, there's the flag.
False start on the Bulldogs.
Well, we'll see. Maybe this procedure penalty could benefit the Hilltoppers, moving them back 5.
And again, this is your first time lining up this unit for the extra point this season, and you get a false start. It's the type of thing that will happen.
Cowbells are blaring. Noah Manadio looking to get it up. The kick is in the air, and it is good. So a 10-13 left to go. It is Chardon 14 and Olmsted Falls 7.
This is a big drive coming up here for the Hilltoppers offense now. It's game. It looks like you're starting to see maybe a little bit tiring on that Hilltopper defense. Hilltopper offense has got to give their defense a break here. Put together a drive, sustain it, take off a lot of the time on this fourth quarter, and take some of the pressure off your defense here.
Well, now is that time when you have to dig down deep.
You're up by a touchdown right now, so you still have the lead. But you know that team on the other sideline is feeling really good right now.
Well, and you've heard Mitch Shute over the years talk about it. The one thing that he and his coaches can control is the effort of the players. And they want players who give max effort, will fly to the football on the defensive end, and will do what they're supposed to do on the offensive side of things. So right now, this is where you've got to dig down. If you're the offensive line, give that max effort, and the same if you're everybody else. Nice move to return the ball up near the 30-yard line. That was Trey Liebhart.
Good return. And yeah, that's that effort is one of the separators. How do the Hilltoppers win 2 state championships in a row? Well, on every play of every game, everyone down there is giving max effort, and it's really a culture that Mitch Hewitt instills here, and the coaching staff is behind it 100%, and you get player buy-in and good things happen.
This has been a very physical game on the lines on both sides. Henry up the gut and going nowhere. We've seen Henry a lot of north and south. He has not ran, he's only essentially run between the tackles tonight.
Yeah, he has had a couple of big gains as well. They've been there to meet him a lot, but Alex Henry is the type of athlete where you're going to keep running that play. They, for the most part, have locked him down, but on any play, he can get away. You're going to keep running that with Alex Henry because you know he's going to break through.
Henry claps his hands, hands it off. Room down the right side, and A.J. Bruce out near the 35-yard line.
Saw some good discipline that time on that play by the linebackers and the defensive backs for the Bulldogs. They hadn't sold in on the run up the middle. They had their eye on A.J. Bruce. Able to get to the outside. Eventually it was defensive back Tyler Jossity that forced him out of bounds.
Trey Liebhart going to come into the game. 3rd and 3 toppers from the 37.
Trey Liebhart is another guy like A.J. Bruce. He can give you that shot of speed when he comes into the game.
Officials, someone call a timeout? Yes, it was the Hilltoppers. Coach Hewitt going to use his first timeout here with 8:45 to go. And Ryan, right now, if you're Chardon, this is pivotal. 3rd down and 3. You got to pick up this first down.
Yeah, this is a huge play in this game for the Hilltoppers. Again, it's you're up by a touchdown. It's not even about needing to score. It's about giving your defense that chance to catch their breath. They've been on the field a lot in this game. You want to give your defensive players a chance to breathe easy, and that makes this pivotal. I mean, you're in 4 down, or you're at 3rd down and 3 here. It's the other side of the field. I'm all over the place, but you're in good position here to pick up the first down and keep things going. You're not in 4 down territory though, so you don't have 2 shots here. If you don't pick up the first, you're going to have to punt at this stage of the game.
Drago Vuyaklia, Trey Liebhart, and who's the other back? Can't tell. It's Daniel Pettyjohn. Henry gonna throw the football. It's caught. Liebhart, first down across the 40, out near the 43-yard line.
That was a great play call there coming out the timeout. You had Liebhart lined up out there as the wideout on the far side, and you just had him run a slant. You told him, you find that yard marker and you find the sideline. You had Alex Henry fake like he was going to keep it and run. He looks for the moment where Liebhart is at the spot. Liebhart is wide open. There's no one on him. They execute the play. That was a great play call on 3rd down for the Hilltoppers to move the chains.
Charlie Brock, the tight end, back in this one. 1st and 10 toppers from the 44. That was a much-needed first down, and now Tom DeLuca going to call a timeout.
Yeah, give his team a chance now. They just gave up the big play on 3rd down, and this is going to be an opportunity for him to talk to this team, maybe try to take some momentum back from Chardon and try to get them calmed down, because the one thing you got to be careful about when you're on the road against a good opponent in the 4th quarter, things can start to snowball on you really quickly. So he'll bring his team in, make sure they're okay. Hey guys, it was one play. Let's go out there, get 3 downs, get a punt, and our offense is back out there. So just make sure everyone's head's in the right place here on that defensive side of the football.
Well, from the standpoint of the home team, I like this timeout. Gives you a chance to regroup. You just picked up a big first down. You can kind of get your emotion back in check here. Get everybody refocused now on this next set of downs. Henry will hand it off. It's Caleb Hewitt trying to bounce around to the left side, and Hewitt was spun around, not able to turn it up the field.
Yeah, the initial hole he tried to run through was closed. He did a nice job to try to bounce out to the outside, but Gavin Moore with some relentless pursuit there, and just there was nowhere for Hewitt to get around on the outside.
Will be 2nd and 10. Ball remains on the 44. Bruce back in the game as one of the wingbacks. Liebhart goes in motion. Actually, they end up scissor play back to A.J. Bruce, who cut it left side. That might have been reverse or scissor play. Nonetheless, they pick up the first down running it left.
They had Liebhart moving. They had all the lines on the offense, including yours, looking in one direction, and Bruce ran the other way.
Bruce slow to get up. He needs some assistance, and this looks like a cramp.
It is early in the year. That's, of course, what we can hope for.
Well, they are stretching him out right now, and look, it's been warm all week. Now, 2 days were blistering hot. No doubt about that. That's when we had that big heat and humidity come through. But you got to credit both teams because the cramps have been very limited in this game so far.
I mean, I think the saving grace is, we talked about it at the beginning of the game, very comfortable tonight. Not a whole lot of humidity for an August night, and I think that's helping. But you look at a guy like A.J. Bruce, he's been playing offense and defense. This game is at a high pace. He's out there every play.
Well, to be the best, you have to give it the top-notch effort, and that means you need your best players to step up, and A.J. Bruce has done that tonight.
And now you just hope A.J.'s okay as they continue to work with him down on that far sideline.
Folks, as they continue to stretch out A.J. Bruce, we're going to take a timeout here on GTV. Great news, Bruce able to walk off the field. They got him stretched out and looks okay. We'll have to sit out a play. Alex Henry going to keep it right side around the 30, and Henry picks up the first down. Finally, we see the big man run around the tackles.
Yeah, he does a great job there going to the outside, picks up the first down, and changed the look a little bit there. He's got the speed to do it, and he did. And this is the drive the Hilltoppers offense needed to put together here in the fourth quarter. You've got your state championship winning quarterback out there directing this offense. As a program, it's a program that's won 2 straight. They know what to do in these situations like this.
Good call by offensive coordinator Don Novacek there, giving them a different look. See what he gives them now. This time, up the gut. Toppers will go to that fullback dive, pick up a couple yards there. Zach Fay, beg your pardon. Brother Nick, of course, called his name many times the last couple of years, but that's Zach Fay.
A lot of great football families have gone through here. Makes it hard on us broadcasters to keep the siblings straight.
I think I bungled Salka's first name earlier after 4 years of him.
You did. I let you go. I let you go.
I admit it. Getting old. 2nd and 7 from the 27. The pitch back up the middle. They go to the big man, and Fay again churning out some yards. And now I'm starting to wonder if they think that they're in a spot where they're trying to wear down the Bulldogs.
That's exactly what you're trying to do. You want to score, but you don't want to score quick because you wanted to give your defense this. Well, if you score quick, you'll take it, but you're fine scoring at a methodical pace. The defense is getting a breather here. Like I said a couple plays ago, this is exactly the drive that Chardon needed here, and they're getting it.
Well, we have not, on this drive, first night to see Henry really run outside the tackles and then the fullback dives. Of course, Sean Carr made a living of that last year. They go again to the big man. Was pushed back. Maybe a yard on that run. That will bring up 4th down in about 2 or 3.
Yeah, the Bulldogs keyed in on that time. What happens? You go to the outside effectively enough, it'll start to open up those holes in the middle. And then you just keep going with that fullback dive until they stop it, which they did here. So now it's an interesting play call on 4th down. You want to keep the drive going and score, but you've given your defense about 5 minutes here to catch their breath. Would be a long field for the Bulldogs. But if you're the Hilltoppers, you want to finish off this drive and get in the end zone here. And it starts with picking up the first down, but Coach Hewitt is running this clock all the way down, and he will take a timeout.
Yeah, you see him right there on the screen. And I almost wonder now, we don't know what Joseph Evans' range is out there. I mean, look, we can talk all about what he kicked in practice, but until you do it in the game, it's a whole different story.
It is. So, you look at the situation where the ball is on the field down at the 24. So you're talking about something that's going to end up being around a 40-yard kick by the time you're doing it. And, this would certainly be a good test for Joseph Evans to see what he's got. It's a very fair night to kick on. There's basically no breeze to speak of. So it's decision time here for the Hilltoppers.
A.J. Bruce was running up and down the sidelines.
They might be looking at Bruce right now saying, get yourself ready to go for this next defensive possession here. They're going to need him at that corner position.
He's not out on, I do not see, unless he's on the far side of the line over there, I do not see him on the field. Come off the line. Now Alex Kisley's going to make it a jumbo package left side. Full backfield for Henry. Here we go. 4th and 4 from the 24. Toppers moved.
Second time tonight on a 4th and short. When the Toppers are trying to keep a drive alive, they jump off sides.
You gotta know the count.
And that was Kisley. Kisley came in to make it the jumbo package, and he jumps out there on the far side of the line.
Boy, and you blew it. I shouldn't say blew, but you burned a timeout to set up that play. That hurts.
Now they're going to send out the kicking unit.
Wonder, they are.
This is a long one. This lines up as a 45-yarder.
So we're going to see the leg of Joseph Evans right now.
There's a critical kick to make it a 2-possession game.
Evans put his leg into it. Does it have the distance? No, it was just a little short and maybe a little bit to the right.
Yeah, if that's lining up as a 40-yarder, he probably gets that one over the upright. As a 45-yarder, it comes up short. And that offsides penalty really hurts the Hilltoppers now. That defense is going to have to go back out there, get a stop with 5 minutes left. It's a really good defense. They've been on the field a lot tonight, man.
And folks, the Toppers only have the opportunity to stop the clock once. One timeout left, 2 for Olmsted Falls, as you see down there on your screen. Keep your eye again. We've seen him make some nice runs on 44, Rocco Conti. He's the guy that has that burner speed that could tie this game up in a hurry. And now the question I think the officials are asking is how much time should be put back on the clock?
They're running 5 seconds off here.
Okay.
Oh, they ran 6 seconds off, all the way down to 5.
Down to 5. Okay, there we go. So 5 even left in this game in regulation. Conti going in motion. Toppers in the backfield, and they get to the Bulldogs.
Mario Tolo was in there. Cooper Felger was in there. Austin Green was in there.
That looked like a defensive line that had a little bit of rest to them.
It did, and they're ready to come out and get this stop.
2nd and 12 from the 18. Pass is caught for the first down. Boy, oh boy, Rossell hit his man. And how many big catches today has Michael Candow made? That's about 4 or 5.
Big play by Candow. Absolutely nothing Heath Fetchik could do. Great coverage by the linebacker. But, I mean, Rossell put that ball right over the far shoulder of Candow, and he made the catch.
Loose ball on the ground! And it looks like the Bulldogs have recovered. Boy, Bulldogs catch another break with a loose ball.
Man, I'll tell you, it's the second year, and I see that orange flag come out to call the
think the
fumble,
same
and I
thing.
think someone's throwing a penalty flag.
2nd and 14 from the 30, getting deafening here at Chardon Memorial. Russell dropping back to pass, stepping up, shoots it over the right side, incomplete. And now it's a 3rd down and long situation.
Good coverage there on the far side of the field. That throw came in short. It came on the ground. Receiver wasn't going to catch it. Prior to this drive, the Bulldogs had thrown just enough. Now it's falling on Russell to throw to keep things moving.
Here's the question now. If you're Olmsted Falls, is this a drive? Is this 4-down territory here with 3:31 to go? You do have 2 timeouts.
If you, assuming they run another pass play, if they run another pass play and let the clock stop, yeah, you punt, you have 2 timeouts left, a chance to get a stop. You can't give the Hilltoppers the ball at this part of the field this late in the game.
Pincheck alone back in the backfield. He's a blocker. Russell under pressure now, being chased, looking for somebody. Gonna put it up, and it is incomplete. The Bulldogs forcing to throw the football down the field. Could not get that pass to work out, and it is now 4th down.
Yeah, Russell tried to keep that play alive, but he ends up throwing. He wasn't in the correct throwing position. He threw that into the ground. Conti didn't have a chance to make this catch. It's 4th down.
Punting unit has not come out for the Bulldogs. Russell talking with head coach Tom DeLuca on the sidelines. And this looks like they will call a timeout.
When you're down in a game like this, it's unfortunate to use a timeout when the clock is already stopped, but this is such an important turn where they need to talk about what they're going to do.
Here's the thing, though. This tells you they're not punting.
No, there's no way you're calling this timeout if you're going to punt. No. So they're going to make sure. This is a tough ask for these guys. It's against this defense. You're on 4th and 14, a home crowd against you. It's a tough ask for this offense.
4th and 14. A defense that over the last 2 years has limited their opponents to 181 yards per game while piling up 62 takeaways. Now, none tonight, but this would be a huge stop. Actually, 1, but that was courtesy of the special teams. But this would be a huge and potential game-winning stop here.
Yeah, it's 4th down here, so at this point you don't need to play for that turnover. You play for that stop.
This was looked at as the premier game in all of Northeast Ohio. It has lived up to it so far.
There was no way, when I saw that on the schedule week 1, I was like, wow, that's going to be fun. And it has played out that way tonight.
I'll tell you what, Ryan, I hope this series continues down the road. 4th and 14. Russell, fake pass, feeling some pressure, stepping up in the pocket, throwing it down the field. It is intercepted! Trey Liebhart, 50, 45, Liebhart, 40. Has a little running room down inside the 25 to about the 23. Liebhart to pick, and that may seal the win.
The pass comes up short. Trey Liebhart gets right in front of the receiver, makes the catch, picks up his first interception of the year. Big yards after the catch. After Trey Liebhart's got some speed. He's always got big yards after the catch when he has an interception. And he's able to bring it back down here to the 23-yard line of the Hilltoppers. And you're right, man. Only an opportunity to stop the clock once for the Bulldogs. The math starts getting really tricky for Olmsted Falls here.
For Chardon. They will have a 1st down and 10 from their 23-yard line. Alex Henry from the gun sends Caleb Hewitt in motion, and Henry going to keep it himself, goes ahead for maybe 2 yards.
And now you could run this game clock down probably too close to 2:20 before you have to run another play. Not quite 2:20, but you can get close to there.
With Henry, the seasoned QB, And boy, what a difference a year makes, because at this point in time last year against Glenville, we were talking, boy, you know, is he going to be able to lead this team to the playoffs? Oh, granted, I shouldn't say playoffs, but lead them deep in the playoffs. And we saw the maturation. We saw him grow last year, and he is a grizzled veteran who Mitch Hewitt has all the faith in the world, as does Don Novacek. Handoff left side, trying to make a cut, doing it, gaining a few yards there, and the Hilltoppers picking up some yards thanks to Drago Vujaglia.
It does a nice job getting out to the outside there. Again, you're running the clock. You're going to be able to get down close to about 140 here. And it's a long field the Bulldogs are facing. And of course, you hope you can pick up a few yards and set up your field goal unit here to make it a 2-possession game and really put it away.
Well, bearing anything crazy too, I think it's safe to say you're well now within Joseph Evans' field goal range after what we saw that last kick.
Yeah, right now where you're at, you're talking something that's about a 38-yarder.
Henry moving a guy over. Clock down to about 1:20. They hand it off, coming right side, but not getting much was Drago.
Had Drago go left that time, go right this time. You want to draw up a play that goes all the way to the outside, burn as much clock as you can. I mean, down to 1:15 here where the Bulldogs take their final timeout. And that's what you want to do on that play. You run your runs to the outside. You make sure they take a while to develop. You burn as much clock as you can here. And Hilltoppers have executed nicely here.
So with 1:15 to go, Hilltoppers on the cusp of their 29th consecutive victory.
Matt, are you on Twitter?
Kind of.
GTV is definitely on Twitter, and you can follow GTV with Twitter for all the latest replay news and other important information. So follow GTV on Twitter, and you'll have all the latest. The kind of on Twitter you are is to follow GTV. Yes.
So Joseph Evans,
38-yarder.
The 38-yard field goal. Kick is underway. He had the distance, but he went wide.
Hooked that one off to the left, so 1:12 yet left. Only one chance to stop the clock, but the Bulldogs mathematically are alive here. The Hilltopper defense is going to be coming out looking for the big stop.
Folks, just a reminder, next week it's a Saturday game and we're traveling down to some familiar territory. Hilltopper's going to take on Camden Central High School, and that's going to be taking place on Saturday down at Tom Benson Hall of, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, the 27th at 5 p.m. down at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium.
Couple of Saturdays in a row coming up for the Hilltoppers here.
It's going to be weird, and I'm not going to know what to do on a Friday night.
Well, we had this happen last year when we went down to Akron for a game, so.
They'll dump it off, and it's, whoa, nearly intercepted.
I sort of think that for a brief moment, Conti and Bruce had caught that ball at the same time. Or I think maybe it was Fetchik in there on coverage. But I think they caught at the same time.
Clock running, under 50 seconds to go. Rossel dumping out to the right, hits a man who goes out of bounds. That was Pinchek with the catch. Stops the clock with 44 seconds left to go.
Yeah, good job, get out of bounds. You got 2 plays here. Tonight's special cable telecast is being underwritten by the Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club supporters. The game is also being streamed by the Chardon Athletic Department for a one-time fee of $10. Some or all of the proceeds from streaming revenue will go to the athletic department. This year's football program has the largest number of participants, and the equipment costs for these players are enormous. The hope is that this fee will help cover some of those costs.
Russell, again, under pressure, trying to evade it, looking for an open man, stepping up, and he's forced out of bounds.
He got out of bounds, but he took about 10 seconds running around. At some point, you got to make a decision on a check down or something to try to get yourself a little bit more time left on the clock, but this is the game right here.
It was Lazinski and Tolo that forced him out of bounds. And now, 34 seconds left to go. 4th down and 8. This place is about to get deafening. The Topper faithful making some noise. Russell from the gun, a man behind him. 3 receivers to the right. Flushing out right side, stepping up, he's taken down! And that is the game! It was Alex Kisley who got the sack.
And that's a great, the thing I love the most about football is you get out there on every play and there's always that chance. Kisley had the offsides earlier in this 4th quarter that stalled out a drive. He comes out, gets the big sack to end the game. Those shots at redemption football gives you, it's a great thing.
You see the Hilltoppers student section, the crazies, a blackout tonight, going crazy, they know it. 1 knee away from 29-0. And a 1-0 start to this campaign is the Hilltoppers. And this is actually kind of, you think, but we haven't even talked, I'm going to be the first to say it. The first step on the road to a three-peat.
That's correct. This is win number 1, and this was a big win, too. So, because Olmsted falls in a good conference, bring back a lot of seniors.
Yeah, Southwest Conference.
Yep, they're going to win a lot of games against D2 opponents. That's going to be a lot of points for the Hilltoppers. So this is a nice win for Chardon to start the year, and it's a big step in that road to a repeat.
Now it goes a long way to it. Teaching them. Folks, with that, we're going to pause and take a time out here and come back with more on GTV.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center, Roniak Paving, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, Hazen Asphalt Paving and Seal Coat, The Arms Trucking Company, Realtor Beth Felger at Keller Williams Realty, Hatai and Mark F. Burr Funeral Homes, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, the McCaskey Team, Remax Traditions, The Junction Auto Family, Conic Law LLC, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters, and by GTV.
Final tonight, 14-7. The Chardon Hilltoppers move to 1-0 in the 2022 campaign. Folks, at this point in time, we're going to throw it down to the field to hear from head coach Mitch Hewitt.
Guys, what a tremendous defensive job. Wow. If you'd have told me we were going to hold these guys to 7 points, I wouldn't have believed it. Great job, Coach Landes. Great game plan. Way to execute the game plan, defense. Way to keep us in the game. Offense, we just got to get better. I mean, we got to get better. We got to get better. But that was an outstanding defensive performance and a tremendous defensive coaching job. I've watched a lot of film on those guys, and they scared me. They really scared me. Coach Landes, great job. Hey, guys, we told you all summer, right, that those guys were expecting a fourth quarter dogfight, right? We turned it into a fourth quarter dogfight, and you guys answered the bell. I wanted to see who was willing to fight tonight, and you guys fought for 4 quarters. Great job. Offense, I'm not going to lie to you. Time and time again, I tell you this over and over. If we're not tough, we're not nothing. Offense right now, we're not tough. We don't have a very good tempo. We're slow when we do everything. And it's just not on Friday nights. It's Monday through Friday. Talk about the process. Offense, we got to get tougher. The bottom line. Good job, defense.
That's it. Fellas, I'm proud of you, right? Like, defense, you guys are tough as nails. We're going to ride you all season long. We're going to ride you until our offense figures out what tough guy football is. But that's a really good football team. I mean, that's a top 10 team in Northeast Ohio. They're the tough guys of the west side. We're the tough guys of the east side. And they came calling. And you answered. So I'm proud of you. But we got to get a lot better. Okay? JV has a big game tomorrow. A big game tomorrow because it's going to be violent and collisions everywhere. Okay? Who should? Well, AJ, you had a day. AJ, where you at? Austin Green, big play. We could run one good play on offense. AJ, break it down. Hey, who's the ball on there? Hey, beat the Panthers on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Well, Ryan, Hilltoppers came in a lot of question marks. Sounds like a few things have been answered, but still more question marks as we head into week 2.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of the story of the regular season too, right? Like your group has to grow together, and your hope is you have it grown and ready to go when you get to the playoffs, which they did last year, and that's where you're aiming this year. But this is a great start on that journey. The Bulldogs came up here. They wanted this matchup. They wanted to measure themselves against the Hilltoppers. You knew they were going to come up here to play, and they played. They largely dominated the time of possession. They kept things close, but the Hilltoppers defense able to get those big stops consistently throughout the night. 2 big runs from A.J. Bruce, and when you needed some good drives down the stretch at the end of the game, that senior leadership of Alex Henry, second year starting, already a state championship under his belt, came up big. It's a program that's won 29 in a row and 2 straight state championships, and with the game on the line, they played like it tonight.
Absolutely. Defense, and we're going to be talking about this all year. The defense will be carrying this team throughout this season, but it's going to be interesting to see this offensive unit grow and come together and cohese as this season continues.
Yeah, this is going to be one that you talk about a young offensive line. That was a big defensive line you were going up against tonight, and you were able to do a good job tonight of keeping them contained, keeping things open up for those running lanes. So it's a good start. It's something for you to hang your helmet on as you head into week 2.
Hilltoppers will be playing 2 out-of-state opponents the next 2 weeks, and then they will begin the rough and tumble Western Reserve Conference. So a good chance to gain some much-needed experience in these next 2 weeks against some powerhouse schools from out of state. So keep that in mind too. Folks, want to send thank yous out to our cameramen today. They did a fantastic job. Executive producer Dave Jevnikar, also Brian Foster, our director tonight. Also shout out to my partner Ryan Radke. I'm Matt Jaworski. On behalf of all the rest, we wish you all the best. Toppers 1-0 on the year as they defeat Olmsted Falls 14-7.